So I went from high school to university to study my LLB degree. So I did not have any prior knowledge on university and just being a student in a higher education institution. So you can just imagine how dull and a little bit dumbfounded I was. Hey, what's good, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. My name is Shella, or you can call me your lawyer bestie. And I'm an admitted attorney of the High Court of South Africa, which means that once upon a time, I was a law student. These things that I'm about to share with you will save you so much time and money and the hassle of learning these things by yourself. So if somebody tells you beforehand, then you'll be able to maneuver properly knowing this information. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Drop down to the comment section if you've got a question or you just have something to say. Share this video with someone who you think will find it useful, and let's get into it. First thing on the list is that you don't have to buy brand new textbooks in university. I fell into this trap. I remember in my first year when we had received the list of books that we had to get, I went to the bookstore to get a quotation so I can ask my parents for the money. And I remember seeing people sitting outside the bookstore with books on the floor, and they'd be like, oh, we're selling secondhand textbooks, we're selling secondhand textbooks. And I was like, I don't know, man, these people are just looking shady, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to buy my books straight from the bookstore. So I got my quotation and I went right in, went to the bookstore and purchased all my textbooks brand new. It was only during the semester when I started making friends and, talking to other students where I realized that I spent so much money unnecessarily on textbooks. The textbooks costed an arm and a leg, my poor parents. And I paid all of that because I did not even know that buying secondhand textbooks was a thing. So just know that you don't have to buy your textbooks fresh from the bookstore. If you can get a secondhand textbook, that works just fine. And one thing that you need to be careful of while you are buying secondhand textbooks is the edition. Sometimes the textbook will look like the textbook that you're supposed to get, but you find that you are required to get the, let's say, 5th edition, but the person who's selling the textbook is selling the 4th edition. So there's a slight difference in the content, but in most cases the difference isn't really major. I wouldn't recommend you buying different editions from the prescribed one in your first year because you're just starting out and you don't really know how things are going. But in your second and third year, you will sort of see that sometimes you can buy a lower edition or like a previous edition and it'll work just fine. But in your first year, I wouldn't recommend you doing that. But essentially, don't buy brand new textbooks if you don't have the money for it. Secondhand textbooks will work just fine. Second thing on the list is you're going to have to take responsibility for your studies more than in high school. So back in high school, you know how your teachers will call your parents if you don't come to school for a couple of days. You just have somebody always checking up on you, making sure that you're doing your work, making sure that you are writing exams, just somebody behind your back to make sure that you do what you have to do. Well, in university, it is totally different. Nobody's going to reprimand you for not going to class. Nobody's going to shout at you for not writing your test. Like, nobody's going to be on your back about anything. So you are the one that has to take responsibility for your studies. And it might sound obvious, but for me, it wasn't really, because when I got to university, it felt like a lot of pressure because remember, I come from high school where I had a routine life. And then now I get to university and I've got so much freedom. And at some points, I just wanted somebody to be like, why aren't you studying? Why aren't you doing your notes? Why aren't you doing this? Like, I wish I had that. And that's why I'm telling you that you're not going to have it and you need to develop it by yourself. So it took me a bit of time to develop that, but eventually we got things rolling and, I started developing my own schedules, study plans, and things like that, which worked wonders for me. I've also stated in this video why you need to have your own personalized study plan and not just going off of what everyone else is doing, because you will see flames like I did. So that's my second point. You're going to have to take responsibility for your own education, for your own passing, for the handing in of assignments, literally everything. Nobody's going to push you. Nobody's obliged to push you. So you need to push yourself. Number three, this one I struggled with it because I was a stellar student in high school. So when I got to university and it hit me that I have to ask for assistance, I was like, let me just study this by myself and see if I really need assistance. Well, in actual fact, I did. And point number three is, don't be scared of asking for help, because you will need help. Nobody was born a lawyer. Everybody, literally everybody, even the highest ranking professor was once a student. We are not born lawyers. So you're not born knowing what's going on in the legal profession. So you will need a lot of help. Remember that you are studying something that you've never studied before, and this is different from anything that you've ever learned in university. So there'll be some points in, your path, in your studying path, that you're going to have to get assistance, be it from your tutor or from your lecturer or from your peers. Whoever it is, make sure that you reach out to people and you ask for assistance. Don't be prideful and think, oh, well, I know, or I can do this by myself. In actual fact, you will find that getting help from other people will make things so much easier for you. Sometimes you might have difficulty understanding a certain concept. And if you go to someone for assistance, they end up explaining way more than what you thought you were confused about. And you realize that I was actually on the wrong path. Had I not asked for assistance, I was going to stay on this, wrong path, on this incorrect path, and then I wouldn't have gotten things right. Remember that in university, failing is not just failing a module. Repeating a module has so many other consequences more than just going back and redoing the module. For some of you, failing modules will result in your bursary dropping you. Failing modules will result in your parents having to pay extra. For example, if you fail a module in any year, and you have to redo it the next year, you're going to have to pay more. Your fees are going to increase. And if that module overlaps to, let's say, another year, a year in which you were not supposed to be studying, or a year you were supposed to be finished with your degree, that means that it's not just the module that's going to be paid for. It's the module, it's your accommodation, it's your transport, it's your feeding. So failing a module is not just failing a module. So utilize all the help that you can get. Whoever is offering assistance, go there and ask for assistance. Don't be prideful and think, oh, I can do this by myself. Chances are you cannot, and you're not expected to. And the next one on the list is, speak to students who are more senior than you. This is like a university hack. When you speak to students who have passed where you are passing, it's going to make life so much bearable for you. They will give you tips and tricks as to what they have done that has worked for them. They will show you where to go, who to consult with if you need help with a particular thing. Even they themselves will be able to help you because they have passed through what you're going through. Speaking to students that are more senior than me helped me in that I was able to pick secondhand textbooks. When I was buying secondhand textbooks, they would tell me that look for this or don't look for that. When it comes to buying textbooks, they would tell me things like attend tutorials all the time. If you guys have compulsory tutorials in your program, in your studies, make sure that you attend them, because sometimes there are marks attached to that. Obviously, I wouldn't know, because the tutor wouldn't necessarily tell you that. I wouldn't know these things if I did not speak to more senior students. And that was a hack, and I attended tutorials, and I saw that attending tutorials is actually beneficial because you get to experience learning in a more chilled environment as opposed to a lecture. Another benefit of acquainting yourself with students who are more senior to you is that these people are going to be your future colleagues slash employers. There are people that I have known from university that were my seniors, and today they are the people that are still helping me out in the profession, and some of them are potential employers. If I wanted a job, those are people that I'll be running to, asking if they are hiring or they know somebody who is hiring. So you'll also be growing your network and just building connections from university. Next on the list, number 5, is prepare for lectures. What do I mean? So in university, you get study plans or lecture plans. So that's where you'll see that, oh, this week the lecturer will be discussing this and that topic. So you know beforehand what's going to be discussed in the lecture. And because you know beforehand, that'll allow you to prepare for the lecture. Don't let it be that when you get to the lecture hall, this is like the first time you are hearing certain things or you are being exposed to certain content. Yes, in the first couple of weeks of your studies, when you haven't really gotten everything together, you don't really have all your textbooks, you haven't bought all of that, like you still are gathering your study material, that's excusable. But after like the first month, when you have all your textbooks and you have all the material that you need, make sure that you prepare for lectures. This will also enable you to ask questions during the lecture, because when the lecturer is explaining things to you, it would not be new concepts, but rather something that you have learned or something that you have studied before. And then you'll be able to ask questions based off what the lecturer is explaining. When you do it like that, it makes you grasp the work so much better than just going to the lecture hall blank. When you go to the lecture hall blank and what the lecturer is explaining is the first time you're hearing it, the disadvantage to that is that in most cases, you won't have questions during the lecture. And you'll only have questions when you decide to study the work. And in most instances, it might be a bit too late to ask questions. You might find that it is a day before the test and you don't really have anyone to ask. And that is a very dangerous spot to be in. So make it a practice to prepare for lectures. Read the work, go over the work, and if you don't understand, you already go to the lecture hall with questions, and if the lecturer doesn't address them during the lecture, then you're able to raise up your hand and ask the lecturer to explain certain things for you. Number 6 on the list is have a life outside of your studies. I think there's no video on this channel where I speak about university experience where I don't emphasize the importance of having a life outside of your studies. If your degree is the only thing that you take out of university, I don't think you did well. Go out of university with connections, with experiences, with a network, with memories. So don't let your years of study just be you studying. Come out of university a better person. Come out of university a more matured person. And you will only attain that if you are a multifaceted person. And how will you be a multifaceted person? By engaging in activities outside of your studies. Volunteer if there's any volunteering project. Do some sports. Go out. See the place around the university. I know when I stayed in Rays, I really did not know the area surrounding the university because I was always in Rays. So go out there, mingle with people, talk to people, engage in activities, just have a life outside of your education. And the last thing on the list is take care of your mental health. I cannot stress this enough. Knowing how to take care of your mental health from an early stage in your career, being your university days, will help you even when you start working. When you know that there are certain things that I do that make me feel better, or certain things that I do that result in me being more productive, that's going to be a big win for you and your career. There will always be times in your path where you are stressed out, when things are uncomfortable or you don't know certain things, or there's just deadlines or a whole lot of things happening that put you under pressure. So when you know how to rearrange your mental faculties, when you know how to When you know how to calm yourself down, when you know what to do that makes you feel better or that rejuvenates you, that lessens pressure off of you, it's going to help you big time. So while you're in university, literally try out everything. Try out taking a walk, because remember, in university, you still have the time and the freedom. See if taking a walk will help you, if sport is going to help you. I don't recommend relying on food for comfort because that just adds more stress. I don't know if it's just me, but eating a lot of food just makes you feel heavy and sluggish and most times sleepy. So I don't think that's, the right way of handling stress. And that's just my opinion. I'm not a psychologist or a doctor or anything like that, but that's just my opinion based off of experience. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is that learn how to manage stress, know what works for you mentally, know what rejuvenates you as a person, discover what it is that you like so that you know where to escape to when life gets difficult. And that is it. Those are the 7 things that I wish somebody would have drilled into my head before I started studying in university. And please share this video with somebody who will need it. Don't be a gatekeeper, spread the word and help somebody. And that is it for today's video. I will see you on my next one. Until then, I'm sending you tons of love and light. Bye.